the real magic and the real secret sauce is when you manage to combine the superior user experience to your user together with the option to measure that. Don't take a walled garden approach for the benefit of the entire ecosystem. It's on us to collaborate together to take the agents we're building with the agents that they are building and enabling them together to have one super agent on top of that. This is a reality check as I see right now. I think that the area which is mostly interesting to look into is around creative, because creative, there we start to see fully autonomous loops. The mindset shift that all of us needs to do is understanding that apples to apples doesn't mean that there is one attribution model that rules them all, or one way of looking at the data that rules it all. Actually, the opposite.
Yeah, because they failed, but that means they also didn't spend. So there is a win there.
Cutting losses is as important as doubling down where things work. It's important for me to say that I'm very, very, very optimistic about the importance of marketers and performance marketers, even in the AI era. There wasn't any year in my career that I heard the word trust so many times.
So here we are. It is the new year. We are back with MobileGroove, but we're also looking back because I also produced the Sustainable Growth Handbook and still going strong. And talking about those insights is really a high point of this year because they're all still relevant. And another thing relevant are the people who contributed to that growth handbook. And that brings me to you, my guest, an encore with Barak, because you were there. I can say I knew you way back when we were talking about full funnel growth before it was cool. So it's great to have you back again.
Thanks for inviting me. Good to see. Good to be here.
And, here we are, the Sustainable Growth Handbook, still going strong. I'm curious, Barak, did you ever actually see that it made it to, from the digital to the physical world? Did you ever get your copy?
Honestly, no.
Well, we're going to talk to Mike over at CMA. We're going to say, Mike, you get your copy. I have mine as autographed, so it means something to me. But it also means something to the industry because we built it together. And here we are, a proper check-in, finally. What aged well from that handbook? What broke completely? What is built maybe because of it? And also at AppsFlyer, the handbook talked about an era, and you talked about an era with me where everything becomes an ad network. 1 year later, are we there?
I think this is still the reality, actually even stronger maybe than what I thought 1 year ago. We see on both sides more and more companies becoming an ad network, becoming retail media, commerce media networks, looking for ways to monetize their data, understanding that it's the most important asset that they have. And luckily, there are privacy enhancing technologies that can enable them achieve that without, of course, harming the privacy of the end user or their most sensitive asset, which is their data. And we also see more and more brands understanding that collaborating over their data is actually their path to grow. Peggy, especially with AI era, and I think that when we talked about it a year or two ago, AI was not where it is right now, and data is the new oil to really feed your AI flows. But on the other hand, I think that what I've learned the most in the last year in this manner is how much it's a matter of trust. So for companies to really invest in data collaboration and in everything is becoming an ad network, they need to be able to really close the loop and measure the incremental value that it generates for them in order for them also to justify that internally in their house, their investment in that.
You as CPO, you were building to a flow that didn't exist when we had the handbook. We are talking about app to web. We weren't really talking about that much. Web to app, CTV to app. You talked about retail to app. You have to build to what you believe or what you think or what you understand teams are doing or not doing right now? I mean, what is the biggest flow teams are still not fully grasping right now, and where you may be focused most with your product and your thinking?
Yeah, so actually, where we are also focusing a lot in our product is not just all these platforms to app, but actually everything to everything. And we've identified 15 different flows that customers are interested in. So it's not just a matter of web to app or app to web and everything. It's we call it web first, mobile after, mobile first, web after, web in the middle. Eventually, web is usually the connecting tissue also between all the different platforms. So pretty much all of them are important, and it differs between verticals. Each of them is having a slightly different flows. But when we look at it globally, at all these 15 different flows, I think that what companies still underestimate is that the real magic and the real secret sauce is when you manage to combine the superior user experience to your user together with the option to measure that. And I can give you examples. So if, and you've mentioned CTV to app. So if you embed wisely QR codes in those CTV to app or in retail to app from the point of sale to the app, then first it's a great user experience for the end user that they immediately scan a QR code, reach to the app, but it also makes it measurable. Or if you're using influencers and they promote something via promo code, then basically your users really love that discount or whatever it is, but it also enables you to measure that. So if you think holistically at the best user experience, it usually comes also with the option to measure that, and then it also becomes your growth strategy in a multi-platform reality. And for me, this was one of the biggest aha moments of the last year, that where I saw that these are combining well together, it really helped brands to unlock growth.
That intrigues me, Barak, but I wouldn't be surprised if anyone can come up with new flows. It would be you. Surprise me. What's one of the flows that maybe we're not thinking of?
Yeah, you can even look, for example, at CTV apps promoting on CTV. So one might say it's a one platform experience, CTV to CTV. But reality shows that the user experience on TVs is limited. So these CTV apps from the entertainment vector, they still need to send the end user to the web to complete the registration and purchase. And then this is one of the 15, CTV to web to CTV. We have everything around the alternative app stores around gaming. So what used to be completely pure inside mobile, now some of the users are coming to do the subscription over web and then back to mobile. And again, we've identified 13 other flows that became more popular in the last year.
That's true. I wasn't even considering that, because when we spoke, alternative app stores, I've been talking about that for years, but it's really happening with D2C, and you working with so many brands, and those brands also working with games, that brings it all together in an entirely different world. We've been talking about it for decades, 2 decades. I've been saying mobile will become a prefix and it will disappear. What are your thoughts on that?
Eventually, everything in our ecosystem starts from the end user and their behavior. And the end user behavior is changing. I'm sure both you and me read all these researches of an average American family having over 17 different connected devices. And even when I look at my kids on the digital world, they flow and move from one device, one platform to the other, and truly expect the experience to continue with the very same context. And it impacts everything. But at the end of the day, still mobile. And this device is where we're spending most of our time and most of our day. It doesn't matter if you're Gen Z or not Gen Z. So this is still the anchor for everything around the experience. So it is true that as a brand, you need to have smooth experience between platforms, but the mobile experience must be superior. And I don't see any trend changing also the mobile ecosystem from being app centric. Actually, it's becoming more and more app centric, even if you look at the changes in user experience with AI chatbots and how we all behave with that. At the end of the day, as end users, we expect that still to take us inside the app where the experience is tailor made for that specific use case. So with everything that is changing, this is still the anchor of the digital experience.
I like that, the anchor. I remember speaking again 20 years ago. They called it the remote control of our lives. The anchor sounds a little bit more solid, but we're talking about evolution in the market. And of course, what mattered? What mattered was our playbook, but also what AppsFlyer has done recently, because we're talking about product, not just the messaging. What have you done on the product side to make that true? You've had your fall release. We're looking back. We know it was important in 2025. It will continue to be central in 2026. But what was the biggest shift and change to make that happen on the product side?
I think we can look at three main trends that we look into. So when we're talking about shifting from classic or legacy marketing to modern marketing, then it is centralized around three main trends that we hear from our customers around the globe. One is their wish to look at everything holistically, not in a siloed marketing approach. So we hear more and more and see how they look at things on the global maximum and not siloed KPIs that might make growth in one vector of their business, but actually cannibalizing another growth on another vector. So how you look at it for the global maximum. Second, of course, AI first marketing stack. Everyone are talking about how AI can help them identify opportunities all the way to autonomous marketing and scaling their marketing operations with AI. And the third, we touched it earlier, is data collaboration, how they unlock growth opportunities by privately joining their most important asset, their data, with other parties. So everything we've announced in the fall release, and I'm happy, Peggy, that you mentioned that, because the fall release was not about rebranding. And again, I'm a product guy. It was around launching 10 parallel products that we tested heavily with our alpha and beta customers, whether it's incrementality for UA or a new attribution model to deliver better measurement, cross-platform LTV to make it holistic and global maximum, a full AI suite, I'm sure we will talk about it, takes our customers towards autonomous marketing in the future, and the Signal Hub all around data collaboration.
You know, you didn't just say it, you shipped it. It is 10 products at once. And that's why we're looking at it. You know, it represents probably the biggest set of launches that AppsFlyer has ever had. If you had to pick something about this release, you know, these 10 products that would do more to solve the problems that you couldn't solve before.
One is the cross-platform LTV solution that really enables our customers to look holistically at the LTV of the user. So it's not anymore a device, right? It's a user. So it's one reality which enables our customer to look at the global maximum. And it's really exciting to see how they're using these dashboards and reports to see all the 15 flows we talked about. So how users are moving from here to there, how it impacts their ROAS, their ROI, where they need to invest more. Number two is our AI suite. So seeing how customers connect together our agents with the MCP to access the data, taking it to any other AI tools that they're using to, I don't know, to automate their flows, may it be Make or N8N, so they can really build on top of that, on top of AppsFlyer, on top of other tools in their stack, a real agentic workflow. And to see that live in action really is really exciting and mind-blowing. And I learn every day something new from our customers, seeing which types of agents and agentic workflow they build on top of it. And number 3 is really the Signal Hub, because it's an amusement park of data collaboration. So every day I see new type of collaboration, how a gaming company merges their data with MasterCard to target the best users in a privacy compliant way. The other day I see how a fintech company is leveraging this data to deliver superior experience. So these 3 is like an infrastructure for endless innovation. So they excite me the most.
I can see it. I can feel it. An amusement park. That's a great way to think of it. And when you were talking about AI, it's interesting. I was doing an interview with the founder of a gaming studio, and he was like, we want AI everywhere. We want our CFO using AI. There have to be agentic flows that are not just like creating new games, but making certain that we are a sustainable studio. So you're looking at this, obviously getting excited by the innovation. Is there something that even blows your mind? I mean, I thought it was pretty cool to think about AI workflows in the CFO office. That was something I wasn't expecting, but it's going to happen. It's going to happen everywhere. So we're going to see it throughout the organization.
Actually, I didn't speak with anyone on the performance marketing side on the last year who has any doubt that at the right time, we're going to move upper on, I call it the autonomous ladder. So moving from insights and anomaly detection to fully autonomous marketing flows. It will happen. I do not know if it will happen next month, next year, 3 years from now. What really blew my mind in that manner in the last year, the right approach to make it happen is looking at AI agents as regular people. So you need to onboard them. You need to supply them the right context and data. You need to tell them what is their role and responsibility and what is not the role and responsibility. You need to enable them to collaborate well with their other team members. May these other team members be AI agents or actually real people. And you even need to fire the bad ones and promote the good ones. Basically, there are differences between people to AI agents, but mindset, when you start thinking about it, then really the sky is the limit with understanding, okay, if I would hire a new person right now, what would I want them to do? This. Okay, so I need to give them access to that data, and I need to tell them this is what I need to achieve, and I need to be patient, understanding that like every new employee, they might not deliver the best solution in 1 month, but I want to keep developing them to really be pivotal to the business 6 months from now. When you start to think about AI workflows that way, then really the sky's the limit.
Let's stay with AI because this was so important in also what you're doing and in the fall release. I mean, tell us maybe in layman's terms, so we'll assume the onboarding here, right? We'll onboard our audience to understand the role that you have given AI in the products and flows that you're developing. Because let's face it, you're the one excited, you're the one innovative, and you're the one leading this, Barak. That's why you're here.
For us, when we come to innovate and build our products, we must stick to the variants, knowing what is going to stay constant with AI a year from now. And we've identified 3 main things. One is the importance of data. So we innovate a lot around ensuring that the data that our customers are storing in AppsFlyer is AI ready, because people read data differently than AI. So you need to invest in the right contextual layer, the right metadata, clean, normalize all the data around the same identifiers. So whatever AI models is built on top of it, they can maximize what they get out of this data. So we work a lot around that with our MCP, with our logical data layer, making the data ready with AI. The second thing is a powerful agent hub. It doesn't matter if you're running your agent, our agent, but governance, permission, authorization. We talked about the trust. So ensuring that the agent can communicate which decisions they're taking, why, which decisions you allow them to make. And the third one, again, not only dependent on us, for marketing to have full autonomous flows, it's not enough that AppsFlyer will build their parts. We're part of a big marketing stack together with DSPs and SSPs and ad networks and agencies and creative generation tools and A/B testing tools and product analytics. So as an ecosystem, and you know what, I will leverage that opportunity and tell to everyone listening to us, don't take a walled garden approach for the benefit of the entire ecosystem. It's on us to collaborate together to take the agents we're building with the agents that they are building and enabling them together to have one super agent on top of that.
I'm still digesting what you said about the AI ready data. I had not realized that. I read a lot, but I didn't realize that. And when I hear it in this context, and there was a report, something a Forrester, one of those reports talking about the number of AI projects that are going to fail or already failing simply because the data is not AI ready, and defining what that is. And to your point, if we're thinking about AI agents as people, then we want connected companies, we want partnerships, we want that to work between people and companies. Why not between their agents? So that makes a lot of sense. How does that land when you explain it in this way, Barak? I'm curious.
People are looking for the right tangible steps to do their first steps in the AI era. If you look at AppsFlyer 5 years ago, okay, leave aside the word AI, we had two parallel products. Some of our customers are using AppsFlyer's dashboard for their marketing decisions. Some honestly are not using AppsFlyer dashboards, but take the data directly to their BI. We support them both because we understand that each business operates differently. Now, when we add AI to the equation, it's exactly the same. So we are building our own agents for the ones that are looking for a more simplified approach and want to make their decisions on a third party, because there are also unique advantages that our agents can deliver by looking widely at the data that if they're building their own agents in-house might not gain access to the same data or trust by being developed together with hundreds of different advertisers. But there are ones that are building their own tools in-house, and for that we support through making the data AI ready and MCP connectors that enable them take them in-house. When we explain that to the customer, I can see the relief, so they don't need in that manner to change everything. If your rhythm of business is the decisions are being taken on your BI, it can work that way. If you're more used that decisions are being taken outside in any of your other tools, that can work as well. So the key is not to change everything in how you work to fit AI, but to see how AI fits the way you work, because eventually it's there to extend your abilities, not to replace it.
Well, that is what I'm hearing more and more as people understand it. It's co-creation. It's collaboration. It is not replacement. As you said yourself, you have to take it, onboard it, and teach it and watch it. And another thing is to measure the outcome, and understand why it made decisions. That's going to be very, very important, because understanding why it made a certain decision might also influence me to say, yeah, based on that reasoning and logic, it makes sense. So go ahead. The decision is good. It's sort of like the difference between short-term thinking and long-term thinking. Once you understand that framework, then you can look at it differently, and maybe a certain move or paying a certain amount for a user makes sense if you're looking at the long term. So this is all going to be shifting.
100%, really 100%, because I think there wasn't any year in my career that I heard the word trust so many times. People want to invest in AI and move upper on the autonomous ladder, but it comes with trust. And trust is for the AI agents, which are people, as we've said, proving us that they deserve the trust by being transparent, showing which decisions they have made, which of them were successful, which of them were not successful, what they have learned from it. Like, I don't know, I expect from my people to do a postmortem after we have an issue or a bug. AI agents are expected to do a postmortem if they made a wrong decision. And it's okay, because as long as they learn from it and they reflect to you what they have learned from it, you can gain trust in them. So 100% agree.
We're talking about being trustworthy. Is there an element of the same as in measurability? Is there an element where the industry on the whole needs to understand what is possible and what is over-promising? I mean, there's a lot out there, a lot of discussion. Give me a reality check.
Reality check is that we're still not there as an ecosystem with fully autonomous flows, but we are on the path on this, again, autonomous ladder. More and more companies are using AI for reporting, for anomaly detection. I'm happy to see first signs of companies that are also using AI to identify growth opportunities, because what worries me the most is companies that look at AI around marketing only as efficiency tools. And AI is not an efficiency accelerator. AI can enable you detect growth opportunities you wouldn't have found otherwise. So I'm happy to see this starting to happen, but I still do not see fully wide autonomous flows that the AI is identifying the opportunity, making the decision, and actively making the changes because of the trust, because of the connectivity we talked about. This is a reality check as I see right now. I think that the area which is mostly interesting to look into is around creative, because creative, there we start to see fully autonomous loops where you have creative analysis done with AI. This fuels a new prompt that generates new creative. And actually, these creatives are started to really being sent to the ad network. So this is the first signs where I see fully autonomous marketing loops. And if you think about it for the long term, that means that we're entering to an era that when I don't know, scroll my Instagram and see an ad, I might be the only one in the world seeing such an ad, because that creative was built real time for me, and it will happen.
That's what we always wanted in marketing, wasn't it? The right ad, right person, right context, right time sort of thing. I mean, that's what AI makes possible. And as you said, that is a place where it makes sense and where you can trust the decision, or at least there's enough information there to make the decision and see the impact. You got me thinking though, Barak, as you always do when we chat, you're talking about identifying growth opportunities without revealing too much. I still would be very intrigued, because you speak with so many of your customers. Where is it uncovering these opportunities that you find the most interesting? What area of the business, if I'm listening in and I'm like, yeah, I need to be listening to my AI and give it more freedom, more autonomy to identify growth opportunities, how can I sort of focus that so I'm not just like turning on the fire hose?
Yeah, great question. The places where I would feel more comfortable as a performance marketing to let AI do its autonomous steps is more around the short feedback loops of performance levers, things such as how much to bid in that channel, how much to bid for that keyword, which creative is working better, which shifts I need to do in the audience for which I'm targeting that, because these are very short and quick feedback loops that if AI made a wrong mistake, you can catch it very early. Then, again, as you gain trust, you can reach to the more risky, I agree with you, places of shifting budgets between channels and platforms, media mix modeling, general marketing strategies. I would certainly not recommend anyone to do your first autonomous AI steps there. You can leverage AI there to have better MMM model, to have right recommendations, but don't let it completely control the strategy. It's important for me to say that I'm very, very, very optimistic about the importance of marketers and performance marketers, even in the AI era. And you know what? With AI and the opportunities it unlocks for all of us, it moves the bottleneck of our ecosystem from building stuff. Now everyone can build. We're going to see much more amazing digital experience, mobile apps. Anyone can build. It moves the bottleneck to gaining the attention of the people. So marketing teams are going to be much more important. Therefore, you must leverage AI to do it in scale and extend your capabilities. But the strategy, the creativity, the risk management, connecting it to the business context is going to be done by human who are going to be even more important in their organizations. And these are the tools that we're trying to build with AI to help our customers become more strategic in their organizations for that era.
It's a great way to look at it, Barak, because, 2025 was marked with a lot of, I wouldn't say doom and gloom, but it was marked with a lot of discussion about, okay, well, where does the marketer fit? Is the marketer in some augmented being with AI? What does this look like? And the pushback on it was pretty severe as well. Or the examples, the really bad examples of what happens when you let, AI go off the rails. So this brings some balance back to the discussion. And what is also central in the discussion remains the measurement, right? It has to be trustworthy data, a trustworthy flow with AI. In the sustainability handbook, we were talking about the need for the single consistent data, the single source of truth.
Yes.
Making those decisions based on consistent data. What breaks that single source of truth still today when we're trying to have a consistent data reality? Or is that what you aim to do with the fall release, is to build that differently so we can still make those apples to apples decisions across those 15 flows you discussed?
For us, as an ecosystem and also AppsFlyer, reality became more complex. We cannot ignore it, right? So there are less signals. There are more platforms and more, again, digital flows. So I cannot stand here in front of you and say that making it an apples to apples reality is easier, but this surely still is our role. And the mindset shift that all of us needs to do is understanding that apples to apples doesn't mean that there is one attribution model that rules them all, or one way of looking at the data that rules it all. Actually, the opposite. So what the products that we're building, and some of them were released in the fall release, is about how you take all these different ways of looking at reality and make it actionable. So for fast loop decisions, you need to look at last touch attribution reality. This also how it feeds your optimization models through postback, also how it feeds many of the things in your AI models. So when you approach that, you need to look more at last touch. When you approach a more checking the causality of things or deciding how to allocate your budgets once a quarter, then maybe incrementality and media mix modeling is the way to look at it. When you are asking what is your best day 7 results, you need to model one thing, but when you ask day 30, you need to also embed a layer of predicting the full LTV. So depending on the question you're asking, whether as a person or as an AI agent, you need to look at reality differently. So our role still completely is to make one single source of truth, which is actionable. But honestly, one single source of truth depends on the context of the way that the marketing question is asked.
That is true. And that is very smart. I mean, it sounds like you want to stick a pin in this thought. It depends on what you want to observe. And you're going to have the data, but you're going to frame it differently. It's like you open the aperture of how you view what you're looking at. You're looking for a short-term, simple answer. You're looking for something that requires a more predictive approach. And beyond that, strategy. All of that works together. And we're looking so much at incrementality. What does it look like to you in best practice? Is there something that perhaps also when teams are looking at incrementality, it's interesting how they're able to prove things to themselves. It's almost self-fulfilling prophecy of what they've proven, but they weren't framing it correctly, maybe as you suggested.
As a part of the fall release, we released a new product also of incrementality for user acquisition. So we have for a few years a solution for incrementality for retargeting. Now we've really taken it up a notch for incrementality for user acquisition, which is a much complex problem. So we wanted to be 100% confident that if customers are making decisions based on that, we're fully accountable and comfortable knowing that they're making the best decisions. And I've looked and we've looked at the data of the dozens of customers already using incrementality for UA, and we've interviewed them, and we found something fascinating. 30% of the incrementality test that they've done convinced them to actually double down more on these campaigns because results were even better ROAS-wise. But what's even more interesting is that for 18% of their incrementality test, they found that there is no incremental lift at all. So the campaign didn't create any new genuine user intent. For me, I think it's the best value they could get because they can really cut losses and move the budgets to other areas. So I don't know. Some people treat that as if the product didn't deliver it value. I actually think that's the best value of the product. And I enjoy having the discussions with customer actually around what they've learned from these failed incrementality tests.
Yeah, because they failed, but that means they also didn't spend. So there is a win there.
Cutting losses is as important as doubling down where things work.
I think that's something people will remember in 2026. It's so simple, so smart, but the elegant, simple things are what matter. And I wanted to go back to where we started, which was the fall release. And surely one of the biggest ones was the data blind spot that you're looking at when you talk about the Signal Hub. You know, we are all going to be bringing more partner data to the table. We need it for context. We need it for growth, basically. 1 year later, where do you think we'll be when we talk about the fall release at the end of this year? So we come back, hopefully we do, come back and have an encore talking about the real opportunity and maybe the ones we didn't see so much.
I'll start by saying that I think this is maybe the hardest year in my career to predict where we will be 1 year from now, because really AI is changing everything more rapidly than what we could imagine. My prediction is that we're going to move upper in the autonomous AI ladder, and we will start to see first glimpse of fully autonomous loops, more around the fast loops, still not around the full marketing strategies. So this will be first prediction. Second is that creative is really going to keep on booming, and we're going to see much, much more creatives that are going to really pioneer with AI and the loop of measurement generation and all of what we've talked about. Data collaboration, 26 is going to be the year of data collaboration again. So everything around retail media networks, we're going to see more and more of that really becoming part of the heartbeat and rhythm of business, of growth strategies. These are my main predictions, but as always, such revolutions take time because of trust, because of partnership. So for me, you know what makes me mostly curious about when we will talk a year from now is if we managed as an ecosystem to solve it together, not in a walled garden approach that each company is building their AI ready data, their agents, but if we collaborate together to deliver holistically better data collaboration solutions, better AI flows, we at least try to do our best to make it a more collaborative approach. I believe that's what the best for the entire ecosystem.
I want to close with a rapid fire question and answer here. Just what comes in your mind, one sentence, Barak, because let's face it, your spontaneous answers, they are gold. So, looking at 2026, where do you see AI stepping in right now, and why?
Creative, because that's already where you have a fully closed loop where the measurement can feed the generation and being activated immediately.
What's the biggest shift in how growth will be measured?
Holistically, where marketing teams are working with the monetization teams, with the product teams. So it's not just about better ROAS to their marketing campaigns, but about the maximal growth to their business that they can prove to their CEOs and CFOs.
And this one is made for you because you are always on the fringe, which is what I love about our discussions. But what will feel mainstream a year from now, and what will feel still experimental, do you think?
Mainstream will be reporting and anomaly detection and recommendations in marketing being done based on AI. Not mainstream, full autonomous loops beyond what we talked about, creative and fast loop. And not mainstream, but hopefully we will do important steps towards there, is seeing teams of real people and AI agents working together.
Well, to close the loop on this one, Barak, it was a pleasure, first of all. Of course, as I said, in the Sustainable Growth Handbook, which is still going really strong out there. And I encourage, of course, the audience to check it out, download it. I'll have details about that in the show notes, and talking about what's going to be exciting in the next year with you, Barak, and looking forward to what's coming next. So thanks so much for your time, Barak. It was a delight.
Thank you.